The two-part series finale for Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. aired just last night, and I, ever the fan of the show, am here to break it all down one last time, so I hope you'll join me after the intro. Well, hello there! My name's Jeremy and welcome back to Freeform Disney, where I talk about all aspects of Disney, from the animated movies to the theme parks to Star Wars, Marvel, and Pixar, and the TV shows, and everything else in between. And that is why it's Freeform. And keep coming back every day for new daily content. If you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This is it. The end of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. For real this time. It's time to talk about episodes 12 and 13, kind of the two-parter finale, which is The End is at Hand and What We're Fighting For. So let's run through a new episode, or two, of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for the last time. So we start where we left off on the last one. All the S.H.I.E.L.D. base is being destroyed, and our team's up in space, and they get over onto Zephyr 1 and onto the Chronicom ship. All kinds of good stuff there. And Sybil lets Daisy, Simmons, and Deke just move freely through the ship because it's going to go ahead and help her odds of finding Fitz. Really feels very Borg-like right there. As long as you're working for us, yeah, sure, walk right by. Doesn't matter. Now, that all ends up backfiring on her horribly, but yeah, it seemed like a good plan at the time. Meanwhile, down over at the lighthouse, Garrett teleports his way in, sets up a whole bunch of cool Uber Chronicom bombs to blow up the lighthouse. And, well, unsurprisingly, he gets caught by May Coulson and Yo-Yo, and, well, Nathaniel blows up the bombs regardless of Garrett's appeals. Yeah, if you had thought Nathaniel gave a shit about what Garrett was doing or whether he lived, yeah, not really. Well, luckily, Yo-Yo is able to group all the bombs somewhere specific so the building doesn't end up collapsing, although a lot of damage still. And then May and Coulson get a chance for a really nice conversation in there. And it was nice that we stopped and breathed for a minute with that. Talking about being different than who they were before and what they thought of who they were currently. Well, back up on the Chronicom ship, we have Cora go ahead and confront Nathaniel about her mother's death and all of that, although it doesn't stop Cora from still being on Nathaniel's side, so yeah, okay. I guess it helps set up what will eventually happen when she changes sides, but nothing at the moment. We do get some fun stuff with Simmons and her memory loss, which is complete. She doesn't remember anyone, really. Some of the stuff like the whole, hey, where did you get that costume? Can I have one? Probably the best line in the bunch with those, but yeah, fun stuff there. Even if overall I would have preferred Simmons still had her memory. But, yeah, what can you do? Mac and Sousa got to have some fun killing some Chronicoms and then strapping them to some rockets and blowing stuff up. Yeah, it was good. Got to hear Sousa use some more old phrases. Egg in your beer. Don't think I've ever heard that one before. Peachy, I've heard the peachy before. But egg in your beer? Oh, fun callback was Mac with his line of, I can't believe it will be robots that take us out in the end. Now, for those who remember back far enough in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Mac has always hated robots. He's had a big issue there. So, yeah. For Mac to finally look at it possibly being the end with robots to do it, yeah. Although, hey, these are killer alien robots. Well, and while we're going ahead and breaking out Simmons and Deke, well, Daisy runs into Cora. And this is actually what screws up Sybil's whole plan, because apparently it looks like Simmons was about to spill the beans. Meaning that she didn't know whether she was supposed to keep things secret or not, and she was starting to remember things because the Chronicoms had dissolved Diana that was up in her head blocking all the memories. And so she was about to do it, and then Cora pops up in the hallway. And so Daisy and Cora have this big confrontation, Daisy easily blocking any use of Cora's powers, and they got to talk. And we can guess that Daisy probably got through to Cora, or at least got through to her well enough to certainly let them go. And so that's what happens there, and well, you can guess, Nathaniel not the greatest, happiness on all of that, so yeah, he betrays Cora. Surprise, surprise. Not really. So meanwhile, back down at the lighthouse, Coulson, May, and Yo-Yo get this message about 084s and head over to the safe house, using Garrett to teleport them there, because otherwise they're pretty much stuck in the lighthouse. They have no way out because of all the destruction. And there's a whole lot of very on-edge agents right there. After all, they've just watched all of S.H.I.E.L.D. get wiped out, and then they got mysterious messages to come here of all places. Yeah, I think I'd be a little on edge too. And one of those agents is Victoria Hand. Now, don't ask about her age, as that seems a little odd given that we're back in the mid-80s right now, but that's not the point. Point is, we're going to enjoy this here and try not to think too much about that. What's fun, though, is she ends up, I guess fun's an interesting choice for killing someone, but hey, we'll go with it. She ends up killing Garrett when he reaches down for a gun. I assume he's reaching for a gun. Now, the intriguing reference in bringing this full circle is that Garrett, much older Garrett, had trained Ward, who ended up killing Victoria Hand in our timeline. And there was also this extra piece about how worried she was that she had just ended up killing one of their own. Which is also interesting because Victoria Hand in our timeline actually killed numerous agents kind of mercilessly in order to try to root out Hydra. So to see her that concerned about possibly having killed one of their own agents, yeah, just kind of the fun full circle and having an alternate reality to go make those kind of references back to way back in the show, because that's season 1 right there. Really fun. Well, anyway, we have a whole ton of agents over there, as I was saying before, and they've brought different 084 so items and briefcases, packages, etc., etc. And well, these are all items it seems that Enoch has deposited back in the timeline, so that way when Simmons arrives, even with her faulty memory, which seems to be really on the fritz, well, guess what? She ends up being able to assemble them all, which brings us to Fitz, who pops out of a quantum bridge. Finally. Although it's the finale of the episode, so we're only going to get really one episode with Fitz, but hey, we get one full episode with Fitz next time. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and May also hugged Daisy during the course of that. Something you definitely would have seen May do before like that. Although, having a little more empathy, I guess? When you're affected by everybody else's emotions, huh? Well, anyway, that was the part 1, episode 12 right there. And then we just jump straight into episode 13. Yes, there is a button at the end of episode 12, which is completely cheesy and over the top, with Sybil being 100% confident that this is the last time the team will all be together. Which, frankly, we've all heard that already before anyway, and Sybil's 100% confident? Well, that's impressive. Okay, sure, whatever. Okay, so onward we roll. We find out that, guess what? Cora is the vital piece to the entire plan. And yet, think Fitz/Simmons, since she was planning this too, maybe you would have made sure someone knew that Cora was so important, or just something was done to help keep her around. Yeah, I'm just saying. Well, speaking of Cora, she gets betrayed, as said before, by Nathaniel, and now he's gonna go steal her powers. Yeah, good times up on the Chronicom ship. And all those Chronicom ships, well, they're a bit of a problem here for this timeline. But our solution? Well, we're just gonna say screw all of you guys, because you're in an alternate timeline and we're gonna leave. Which actually I find rather amusing, as I mentioned that last time in the other video of, hey, it's not our timeline anymore, why don't we just leave and get out of here, right? Well, essentially that is the solution, we'll just leave. Although the rest of the team's not quite happy with that solution, so we use the quantum bridge to take all of the ships back to our timeline and then destroy them. Although that takes a little more work than just saying it. But in order to go ahead and make the quantum bridge that big and take all the ships out, that means we have to leave somebody behind. Now, while Sousa tries to give it the old college try to go make him so he's the one that gets to be left behind, well, A, he's not even qualified to do it, so Deke goes ahead and does it. And it's a fitting choice for Deke to be left behind. After all, hey, Deke's a rock god over there. He's got no problems. And apparently now he's going to be the new director of whatever the heck remains of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because unsurprisingly, they kind of all turned to him after this. After all, you guys are all time travelers, you've got all of this other stuff going on. Yeah, it makes sense to turn to you, especially after the rest of S.H.I.E.L.D. just got destroyed worldwide. Yeah. And sadly, this is the last we'll see of Deke. He doesn't get a later button or anything else further back in the show. So who knows, maybe someday we will see a spin-off show of Agents of Deke over in our alternate reality. Yeah. Well, anyway, we head through there. We actually get to see the quantum realm a little in the show, and that's just fun to actually see it there, see the Chronicom ships in there, and yeah, that was cool. Next, we go do the unsurprising piece of going ahead and filling in the whole backstory of what the heck Fitzsimmons and Enoch were up to before the season began at the very first episode. And it's not too surprising. It's also not super deep. They went ahead and did lots of stuff, and we got to see that they lived a little. And there's more to that reveal later. And then they time traveled. I mean, it was fun seeing the pieces get put together, to be sure. And fun getting to see them in the different hazmat-type suits as they hid themselves from themselves as they were doing things at the end. Yeah. Well, anyway, it's time to finish up the whole plot at this point. So part of the team heads down and retakes the lighthouse. Then the rest of the team heads up to the Chronicom ship, and that's Mac and Coulson and May and Daisy. And Daisy and Nathaniel finally have their big quake-off fight that we've been waiting for. What we got the other episode wasn't really the big quake-off fight, a little bit of quaking, but this was the big one. Of course, Daisy's just delaying him, pretty much just toying with him and killing time, which comments on how much better Daisy is than Nathaniel, as we all kind of figured. Who cares that Nathaniel's quote-unquote had the powers for a longer period of time? Doesn't mean he's a better fighter with them. Certainly doesn't have the self-control to be better either. Well, how does the plan work? Well, Coulson gets himself captured by Sybil. Then Sybil tells all the Chronicoms to converge on the lighthouse after Coulson reveals that's where they're at. And, well, she plays right into their plan. Because they just needed her authorization into there, and also to have all those Chronicoms converge in one spot also was really helpful. And so, that means it's time for May to show up. Here comes the cavalry. And for the first time, I think in the entire show, she actually embraces the term the cavalry. Because she's always hated that phrase beforehand. Times change. There's also a nice full circle aspect too right there. Well, so how does that lead to us winning? Well, it's because Cora then uses her powers along with everything else set up both on the ship and down in the lighthouse to shoot this empathy-giving ray down at the lighthouse. And the Chronicoms are all good guys now. Not sure how that all worked, but hey, it sounds cool. It was a fun visual. And we get a nice line out of the Chronicoms, or at least the one in the front. So are you the good guys now? As we always were. One last nice Enoch reference there. So hey, Chronicles are the big good guys now. Yay! We're good guys. Lots of new tech. That should help our side a lot, right? And then to finish up the plot here, well, Daisy blows up all the Chronicom ships and kills Nathaniel. Boom, boom, boom. Done. And hey, she's rescued from the vacuum of space, and her sister warms her back up, and she's alive. I gotta say, not the best plan ever. I could see that easily going really, really bad. But it worked. And we got kind of the key line of the episode there where Coulson's saying, this is what we're fighting for. And Daisy, family. And that means time for the other family reveal, the big Fitzsimmons reveal that we kind of were guessing at here. It's their daughter, Alia. And it was a nice moment, character-wise, getting to see Fitzsimmons and Alia together. Yeah, that was nice. Definitely nice. Now for my favorite part of the episode, though. The last 10-ish minutes of the episode, we jump to a year later, and the whole team meets virtually. It's the epilogue moment. So we get to find out where their lives are a year later. So Yo-Yo is apparently the most decorated S.H.I.E.L.D. agent at the time, and she's off to some mission. We all watch them leave one by one. She heads off to her mission, and we get to see, well, LMD Davis. So Davis is actually back, kind of, maybe. Not sure if he was ever in the framework, so maybe it's just based off of Piper's memory of him. Not sure. But anyway, another happy ending right there. Then May heads off to give a lecture at the new S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy. Fitz and Simmons leave to spend time on a picnic with their daughter. And giant smiles right there. And all of those are nice, that's for sure. Now Mac leaves. And we get to see this great view of him on a helicarrier way up in the air, with a couple of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents flanking him, and him looking very much the part of the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., especially a resurgent S.H.I.E.L.D. that seems to be back in power again. A S.H.I.E.L.D. that's at a new height, shall we say. Pun intended. And once they all leave, that leaves us with the last two still over in that virtual conference right there. And it's Daisy and Coulson, which is fitting to be the last two of them sitting there. And they have a nice bit of time right there, and Daisy has a good line. Funny what happens when someone believes in you. It's a reference to Cora, but at the same time it's also heavily a reference to Daisy herself and the entire arc that she has gone through over the course of the 7 seasons of the show. And to Coulson believing in her, of course. It's like, oof, very, very nice reference. And hey, then we get to go see Daisy, Sousa, and Cora out on Zephyr 3, out in some nebula who knows how many light years from Earth. Clearly preparing to contact some group of aliens, and apparently Simmons had actually helped with some of the anatomy and was looking over some of it for them. So, while being retired, still consulting, doing some work there. So that's cool. And to close out the very end, we get to go back to Coulson. So he heads out to get his present from Mac. Our good mechanic Mac, that is. And it's Lola, but with some new upgrades. So Lola flies as before. But now Lola can turn all black and seems to have some nice upgrades to the rocket power beyond what the original had, it seemed. Coulson puts on the sunglasses and the close to serious last line. Cool. I'll agree with that. Yeah, it was a good ending. Good fitting finale. It tied up lots of loose ends. Now, yes, I will definitely admit there were a bunch of logical leaps in there at points. And to be honest, it feels like some of the big questions the show had were things that writers had to figure out at the last moment, and they really didn't know where the heck they were going for that before the finale. But yeah, okay. It didn't land as well as it could have on some of those, but it still worked. And one last quick negative in there is, man, I wish we had finished the main plot quicker and had more than just the last 10-ish minutes for the epilogue. I mean, that was my favorite part of the episode, and it was what I was looking forward to, probably more than the whole plot resolution. It wasn't the greatest plot that the show has had. It was fun enough, though, and it was certainly a fun epilogue. It was certainly a fun finale to the plot as well, and yeah, so many good things about the finale. Got to see our characters all, got some more references back to the universe that we've been in, got some good humor, got some good action. And yeah, hey, guess what? I'm good with everyone getting a happy ending for once. If I want the less happy ending, I'll go back to the end of season 5 right there. So for once, Fitz and Simmons are actually together happily without the universe trying to tear them apart. That's nice. Now, I really do hope to see some of our characters pop up again in the future, and the show left the door wide open for that possibility, without leaving any cliffhangers and having anybody just hanging either. We're clearly open for a possibility with Agents of S.W.O.R.D. right there. And for anyone not clear on what that is, Agents of S.W.O.R.D. from the comics, it's been highly speculated on throughout the course of the MCU at this point. S.W.O.R.D. stands for Sentient World Observation and Response Department, which was led by Nick Fury. Such a S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of morphed into that, or also was that? And apparently, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. itself, the creators once actually were interested in doing some sort or some references to it earlier on in the show, way back, seasons and seasons ago. And were shut down on that. They were told, no, you don't get to. And if we go based on, say, the end of Spider-Man, the last one that came out, up with Nick Fury up in space and all, that definitely seemed like a possible reference to S.W.O.R.D. starting up. So, who knows? Maybe we'll see some of them. Certainly, we've got a few of them all the way off in Zephyr 3, off in a distant nebula. They could certainly be working for S.W.O.R.D. It makes sense. We could certainly see Mac back again as the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. We could go ahead and bring back in May or Yo-Yo. I mean, we could bring back in most of them at this without too much difficulty. They could easily be brought back in if the powers that be want to bring them back in. Will that happen? Who the heck knows? Regardless, it has been one hell of a good run. I can't wait to watch it all again from the beginning. It'll be time to do some time travel of my own when that comes. Well, everyone, hope you enjoyed my run through Season 7 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. If you're interested in more Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. content, please let me know. And I also have lots of other good videos on the channel. So with the end of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., thank you to everyone who's been watching these videos here that I've been putting out. Also, thank you to the cast, the crew, everybody that was involved in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for giving us 7 great years of that show. Definitely one of my favorite shows. No doubt about that. Dang, in one heck of a run. I didn't know how they'd go on beyond Season 5 with how they ended it there, but we got some great bonus seasons essentially in 6 and 7, and they were quite fun. And dang, I will miss that show. Well, anyway, let me go ahead and ask one last time for Season 7 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Well, what about you? What are you going to miss most about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Did you love the finale, and which character are you hoping most to see again somewhere in the future of the MCU? Let me know down below in the comments. And thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like, share it with anyone you think will too, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you back here tomorrow for another new episode of Freeform Disney. Have a magical day, and may the Force be with you. Always.